Golden Black Radio is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store. Shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Lafayette location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
All right, we're finally live after a couple little snafus, probably self-induced. Brian Neubert will join us shortly. Reminder, too, this is Tuesday Night Live, acrepro.com, the sponsor. When it comes to land sales, it pays to have experts in your corner. Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group are your local farmland specialists with decades of experience in Indiana agriculture. No one knows the market better, whether you're doing a 1031 exchange, which Brian Neubert's doing right now, or simply buying and selling farmland. Your local Acre Pro agent will walk the land with you and ensure the deal is done right. Visit acrepro.com or call 765-775-6502 and talk to your local land expert today. Again, that number 765-775-6502. All right, we will burn. If I get that figured out, and I finally do. In one of those days, I thought today's been a good day until about now. But Brian, welcome to the show, and you'll be matriculating to down I-65 a lot. Is it almost all the way to when you turn right at Birmingham when you head down to Alabama? Is that basically how it works? I don't even remember.
I kind of like driving down there, so I drive. But Gardendale's my spot. There's some hotels in Gardendale, which is just north of Birmingham, so I'm going to stay there. And I think it's only in 45 minutes to an hour to Tuscaloosa from there. So I will drive to Gardendale tomorrow, set up shop, go to Tuscaloosa, come back to Gardendale, and then come back to West Lafayette thereafter.
And you know what? Well, based on where airline travel is these days, driving is not a bad call. Hopefully, I know Tom Dienhart's going to be making his way to Seattle on Friday for the football game. That football game Purdue's playing at 7 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday, and we'll see if he makes it. From that, we hope he does. But Brian, a huge test for Purdue, certainly Alabama, and you've been down there before in that win in 2009, or was it late 2000 when Mark Ingram won the Heisman Trophy?
The exact night Mark Ingram won the Heisman Trophy. Yes, they announced it to the crowd. It was Alabama's first ever Heisman winner.
Yeah,
and everybody immediately forgot there was a basketball game that night, and it was one of the most surreal nights I've been part of at a sporting event. That was all before the game, in which Purdue rallied from 19 down, I think in the second half.
Was it 19?
I thought it was 19. That's the number that sticks out to me, but I can't tell you for sure.
Yeah, and we had talked to Rob Hummel today for something that will show on the site and Golden Black Live later in the week. But we started with that question because you told me to make sure I asked him, and he reiterated the same thing you said about Ingram winning the Heisman, and then also that was new, and Facebook was new, and they'd gotten a picture of Hummel tells the story about getting a picture of Hummel, Chris Kramer, Stevie Lovelace, and I can't think of who else might have been with him at a little party, and they were all dressed up in Halloween outfits, and they blew it up bigger. And that's the thing Rob remembers, that and Chris Kramer doing what he did in the second half to make that happen. And I'm looking back, I'm literally looking down at the media guide. That was December the 12th, 2009. So in that 73-65 win, I think that it was 19 points, but that was an incredible comeback. Alabama, very athletic then. Now after the Crimson Tide's win over St. John's, got everybody's attention. They jumped up to 8th in the ratings. I'm sure you've looked a little bit at them, but maybe not a lot. But you know what to expect. It's going to be a different team than we saw in Mackey Arena when the Crimson Tide was ranked number 2. But there are some parts that are still there. Going to be a hyper-athletic guards that are going to be a challenge for Purdue to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the first couple of games of the season. I'm not sure anybody knows exactly what they're dealing with here at this point. For all we know, St. John's could be messed up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be unlike Rick Pitino to thrive in chaos.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll be at their best at the end of the season like they always are, but obviously an impressive win for Alabama regardless, especially considering they went to New York City to do it. But no, Alabama is obviously going to, run, shoot a ton of threes, put a lot of pressure on Purdue defensively, put a lot of pressure on Purdue with its athleticism. They have historically taken certain liberties with the defensive end of the floor. Purdue can't count on things being easy for them in that regard because athleticism and length are problematic oftentimes. But I think if Purdue has Trey Kaufman-Renn back, I think there's going to be, I don't think you've seen the best of Purdue yet by a wide margin. Kaufman-Renn last year got, I think, 26 on them.
Yeah.
Kind of his coming out party, so to speak, as a great player in college basketball. That was against Grant Nelson. I don't know who they're going to be. He's going to be matching up with necessarily if he plays in this game, but chances are it will be a more physical player than Grant Nelson was. He was at center last year at this time. He'll be at power forward this time if he plays. I'm assuming he's going to play, but I'm basing that on just the fact that it seems to be a minor injury. He's been practicing, and there was no need to play him in either of the first two games. I just think there's a higher competitive gear for Purdue to show in this game, and I think they probably will. Now, you could play really well and you could play really hard in a game like this and still get beat. I mean, Purdue played well in Toronto a couple years ago against Alabama. Alabama makes 19 threes. You had Zach Edey. That game still could have gone either way.
Yeah.
So it's the time of year where outcomes, all have to be taken with a grain of salt. I know they all matter when all's said and done, but I don't think anybody's their best version of themselves quite yet in this college basketball season.
Yeah, and your memory is spot on as it often is when it comes to things like this. Yes, Trey Kaufman-Renn, 26 points, 12 of 23 from the field. Fletcher Lawyer and Braden Smith had 17. Though the story wasn't. It was certainly Trey Kaufman-Renn, but also a run by C.J. Cox hitting three straight threes in the second half to deliver Purdue from. It was a very tight game as it was. Ended up being a 9-point win for the Boilermakers, but C.J. Cox kind of was just hit shots when Purdue really needed him when the Boilermakers had gone down. I think a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, Raleigh Burgess made a couple big plays.
And he hit a three.
I actually went back and watched the highlights last night just to kind of refresh my memory. He had a putback and he had a three-pointer off a nice kick out by Fletcher Lawyer. And, games like this, these really big games, sometimes it's, the stars do their thing, but sometimes it's like the Mason Gillises. It's whoever, somebody you're not really like expecting to be the guy who decides the game that changes the whole thing. The Purdue IU games over the years have sort of been that way, where it's been Bryson Scott or Basil Smotherman or Sterling Carter as much as it's been
Sterling Carter,
Vince Edwards, Dakota Mathias, Caleb Swanigan, Carson Edwards, Jaden Ivey, whoever. And sometimes that's what it needs to. What you need to win a game like this is some rando to just sucker punch you with something you weren't necessarily counting on.
Yeah. All right. We do have some questions and some good ones. I think rankings don't matter this time of year, but with Purdue being dropped to number 2, which the Boilermakers were earlier this week, does that take some pressure off the team? Does it matter at all? This is a team that's got a lot of guys with a lot of experience, and they've experienced every emotion of college basketball in their 3+ years, and of course for Trey Kaufman-Renn, he's been here 4 years. But talk about that. Does it mean anything from your perspective in terms of that at all? I know it's early, and I know rankings don't really matter right now.
Well, no, the AP poll is stupid. It has.
I knew it gets you going on that. Go ahead.
It's not because Purdue got moved down. I would have voted Houston number 1 if I had a vote in the preseason. I actually wrote my column for tomorrow. This is part of it, but the AP poll has mutated into something beyond relevance. So Purdue shouldn't be paying attention to it, but if moving down to number 2 pisses it off, that's probably a good thing, because I've said this over and over again. Maybe this is just me applying my own worldview to things and it not necessarily being reality, but this is a team with personalities who have thrived in the past on being disrespected, whether that's been imagined or real disrespect. It is kind of what made some of these guys what they are, and all they've experienced, since the Fairleigh Dickinson game has been, as Tom Dienhart would say, plaudits.
Yeah.
Been told how great they are, and gotten the celebrity treatment. And if something pisses them off, that might not be a bad thing. And if getting bumped down one spot for no reason in the AP poll does that, good for them. It is stupid because, as has been well documented, Houston labored with Towson just as much as Purdue is perceived to have labored with Oakland. The score was close, but Purdue was never losing that game. I think most objective observers can agree with that. The style points weren't there. The style points do not matter. Had Purdue been on Saturday night instead of Friday night and been playing up against football, and if the whole country had ESPN right now and saw Houston play the way everybody saw Purdue play, because Purdue was not up against football and was not on ESPN, this could have been very different. It could have, I doubt Houston would have jumped over Purdue. But you have a pool of voters that are busy covering their own teams.
Right.
That's one of the many great flaws in the AP poll process. But if it pisses Purdue off, great. If I were Purdue, I'd be lobbying all those AP poll voters to drop them out next week.
Yeah.
Because anything that agitates these guys, motivates them, is probably better in the long run than seeing the number 1 next to their name every week. Now, that said, I mean, it's something to be proud of.
Sure.
So I'm not making light of it. I'm just saying that if that's your carrot, then you've consumed the carrot.
Yeah. Yeah. The last preseason number 1 team to win the national championship in 2009, I believe, North Carolina. Again, none of that matters. But it is, I agree with you. I think it's a good thing to have that on your resume, so to speak, to start for the program. Now you just gotta play. Kyle Thomas is multitasking. Clearly, we being Purdue need to be more physical. The team definitely needs a Mason Gillis presence. Watching Kentucky, and I'm not watching Kentucky and Louisville right now. We being Purdue just can't match up physically to that if we don't play with more heart. Maybe, but obviously the rebounding has been a topic that you've talked about. I'm sure Matt Painter's talked about it a lot and worked on it and whatever they need to do to get it corrected. The physical side of this team, and again, it's hard to measure that when you've played the last 2 games without one of your more physical guys. Is that a fair way to look at that?
There you go. You have the best power forward in the country who's not playing right now.
Yeah.
Trey Kaufman-Moran's one of the most physical players in the Big Ten, if not the country. And I'm not saying he automatically fixes everything that's been wrong with Purdue's rebounding, but if you itemize the issues, you have to keep in mind Purdue is playing a guard at a rebounder type position.
Right.
And
exactly. Yeah.
That's a big part of the aggregate physicality going on here. And don't let the fact that Oscar Clough doesn't or can't jump distract from the fact that he's a really physical guy.
Yeah.
Don't let the fact that Daniel Jacobson is still big, tall, and skinny and can get pushed around a little bit because of his dimensions distract from the fact that he gives you a dimension very few other teams have. Is Purdue going to just kick people's ass every week the way they did with Zach Edey, the way they did with Caleb Swanigan? Probably not, but I think you haven't seen the final version of Purdue here from a physicality perspective. That being said, everyone on the floor has to get into the mode where there are 5 bodies on the floor and all of them have to have a body accounted for when a shot goes up. That's a big part of this, is Purdue across the board is not blocking out as well as it needs to block out. And when you're good enough on defense to force a ton of threes, those long rebounds, get tracked down. Right. And I don't think Purdue's rebounding issues are necessarily physicality around the basket as much as they are just making sure that you have a pathway to the ball. You're attentive to where the ball's going. When the ball's going up, you're facing the ball whenever possible, because you have a guy on your hip that you're preventing from getting that ball. I think that, in time, Purdue's going to be okay here, but they got to prove it. They got to go do it. They have to have a really good rebounding game here at Alabama or against some of these other really big time opponents they're playing in the weeks to come.
Yeah. And I think that's a clear fact. One note that I think I'm right, though Chris Foreman would beat me to it, I'm sure, on notes. Purdue's highest ranked non-conference opponent on its home court playing it, and that's not worded very well by me, but number 4 Memphis. Did you cover
yes.
that game? And
yes,
is Derrick Rose in that game?
No. Okay. I don't think so. No, that was, I can't remember. It was still Cal at the time.
Yeah.
I remember
Matt Painter's first year as head coach, right?
Yeah, and they got absolutely obliterated.
Yeah, 90-70.
It was part of a 2-game series with Calipari and Katie.
Yeah,
because they were buddies. Memphis came to Purdue the year before, I think, and
Chris Booker.
Purdue just got absolutely obliterated in FedEx Forum. Yeah. And I saw Graceland in the morning, and then I watched a massacre at night.
Yeah. That could be a Mark Cohn's song. I don't know, but no, that was I do. And looking back, they've played a lot of highly ranked teams in the non-conference, but not on its home court like they're going to see.
Well, they kind of got hosed by the Big Ten ACC Challenge. They never got to go to Duke. They never got to go to Carolina. They never got to go to.
Not in recent times, right?
The best place they went was really Louisville, probably, in terms of stature of program. They never went to Syracuse. Yeah. All those cool places in the ACC that I never got to go to because Purdue never had the TV appeal back then. It was always, we got to put Izzo against Krzyzewski. We got to put Izzo against Roy. It didn't matter who the best programs were at the time. It mattered the TV audience. And that's still the case. TV dictates all this stuff.
Yeah.
But if Purdue were then what it is now, Purdue probably would have gotten one of those Duke trips or one of those Carolina trips, or
no
at least an NC State or something. Wake Forest.
Yeah. So they did play NC State maybe one.
NC State came to Purdue. Virginia came to Purdue twice.
Yeah.
Purdue went to Miami once.
Yeah.
Purdue went to Virginia Tech once. Virginia Tech declined my credentials, so I couldn't go.
Yeah.
As they probably remember because they got me blocked from Twitter that night.
Yeah.
For the night. Purdue went to Louisville once. Outside of that, Boston College, Purdue had Boston College.
College here, right.
A couple of times. Miami came to Purdue once.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's about it.
But they didn't really get any of the marquee games except for the one year that Duke came to Purdue.
Yeah, in 2008, and that was just a one-shot deal. And Mike Krzyzewski and company had their way with Purdue that night. All right, question, and I want to pronounce the name right. Or Sinan Juan, I know the prospect that's supposedly going to make his decision this week. And I think we do expect an announcement. He said that he's going to make the announcement this week. Any thoughts on it? Is he the final high school senior that Painter is recruiting? You need to check our weekly on our site for some of that information. But what's the skinny on some of that?
Well, we'll feed the burners here, and it's Joe Tipton's news. So he says it's later this week. So that's all I know. It's tomorrow's Wednesday, so
be it Thursday or Friday.
My luck being what it is, and I've already got stuff written just in case I need it. Knowing my luck, it'll happen when I'm probably right around the same part of I-65 where Miles Colvin decided to commit, which was right before Bowling Green, Kentucky.
That's close to the Buckies now, though. That will be very close to the Buckies.
Well, that is close to the Buckies, yeah. But,
so maybe there's plenty of room to because that's near that's north of Bowling Green because I've actually been to that.
Yes,
place.
yes. No, so is he the last high school guy they'd recruit if they get him? I don't know. He's the last one I'd be aware of, but I would expect Purdue to be back in the portal in the spring again. You have to bring your front court back up to code next year, and I don't know if Sanan Juan's the guy to do that from a day one perspective. He would be a great addition, but still a developmental type guy. So it's possible somebody pops up out of nowhere in the spring or something like that from a high school perspective, but I think it's going to be more about the portal.
Yeah, and you've written and talked about that a great deal, and that's the storyline there. Stay tuned, so to speak. We'll find out this week, probably based on Joe Tipton's reporting on that. We'll find out what that. And you're right, you'll probably will be just north of Bowling Green when that does happen. When you look back at also what's at stake for Purdue, because again, this is a team that needs to figure out how to play. It knows how to play, but there's still some parts that need to guys, whether it be Oscar Clough or Omer Meyer on down the line that need to assimilate into what, and they're doing that on a daily basis at practice, but on the court. What do you see? So, some of the challenges with that narrative, not only playing time, getting TKR back. I mean, what are some of the most important things you see that if you're going to look over the next month that Purdue needs to get accomplished if it wants to make the run it needs to make?
Well, they got to stop the ball on defense.
Yeah.
First of all, part of that is playing better together as five guys on defense. Part of it is just stopping the ball. I think there's been a couple of double-edged swords here with some of the things that Purdue struggled with. You're playing good half-court defense. You're forcing bad threes. The other side of that is you're not getting the rebounds.
Right.
I think Purdue is being really aggressive on the ball. They've had some really, really good moments defensively in that regard. But sometimes you're too aggressive. And then the ball gets past you, and you're out of rebounding balance, and all hell breaks loose. So finding that balance on the ball, whether it's C.J. Cox, Jakari Harris, Braden Smith, whoever, finding that balance between being really aggressive and disruptive and affecting the ball handler and keeping the ball in front of you, I think is going to be a really important key from here on out, but also the rotations behind them. It's great that Purdue has centers now, actual viable real-life rim protection, shot blockers. Purdue has blocked, I think, already accounted for 17% of its block shot total from all of last season through 2 games.
2 games, yep.
But I'm going to keep saying this. The best shot blockers in basketball are the ones you don't need. It's great that you have them. It's even better when you don't need them because you're taking care of containing the dribble yourself. You don't need them to help you. I think that is Purdue's challenge from here on out, is to just keep the ball out of the paint, keep the ball contained, and keep getting those rebounds.
Yeah, and you have to think that against a team like Alabama or and that's the thing about the schedule. You're going to have not only obviously the game on the 13th, and then you're going to go to the Bahamas, and then basically every week after that, in Thanksgiving week, you just have the one game against Eastern Illinois on the Black Friday, but then you're into it basically for the rest of the year, with it maybe a week or two exception in terms of the competition level. I mean, you go from the Bahamas to Iowa State to Marquette to Auburn on down the line. This team is ready for tests, but it's going to get tested everywhere it looks, even in the non-conference.
Yeah, that's the point.
I
often say failure's the point.
Yeah.
It just so happens Purdue hasn't often failed.
Yeah.
But Painter wants them challenged. He wants to build a resume. He wants them having a diversity of experience, facing zones, facing press, facing athleticism, facing skill, whatever it might be. And he wants them to get better and better and better as the course of the season goes on. And you've seen that happen often over the years. And that's what Purdue will hope for this year. Purdue should reasonably expect itself to win the Big Ten, hold itself to that standard. Purdue should carry itself like a Final Four team. They should hold themselves to that standard. It's not about comparing yourself to these other top 10 teams. It's about comparing yourself to the very best Purdue can be.
Yeah.
And I know that might sound condescending and blowhardish, but I think Purdue is good enough to where if Purdue is just focused on being as good as Purdue can be, they're going to be really hard to beat. They might not get beat. I know that sounds a little bit outlandish after everybody lost their minds over Oakland being within single digits on Friday night, but I think Purdue's fine. They just need to play really well.
Yeah, a solution to a lot of things there. All right, a question on, I think we kind of hit on this a little bit last week. Any word on Purdue's MTEs for next season?
They don't know yet.
Yeah,
they say they don't know yet. Maybe they know and they're not telling me. I don't know, but they typically don't lie to me. So
yeah,
from what I understand, they don't know yet.
We know about Tennessee, but what about another home announcement?
Tennessee's probably it for the.
Yeah.
Remember, Purdue's got Iowa State
on the
road already booked for that too. So between whatever MTE you're in, Tennessee coming to Mackey, you going to Iowa State. That's a plus whatever you get in the Indy Classic. That's a pretty good. That's a framework for a pretty good schedule already in place there. Yeah. As far as future home and homes go, I don't know. I know they've talked to some pretty high end programs, but nobody wants to come to Mackey first.
Yeah,
and I think Purdue needs to stagger those things so you have a road game one year and the same year you have a home game. So that it's not everybody's as down with whatever as Purdue often is. It's Kentucky's, Duke's, Kansas's, whoever it might be. They don't want to go play on somebody else's home court unless they're getting a pretty good deal themselves. And that's why you've seen these neutral site home and homes, really kind of take over that space. It's a shame that with the TV situation being what it is, the Big Ten ACC Challenge is gone, the Gavitt games are gone, because that was pretty cool. It's a shame the Crossroads Classic is gone because that was pretty cool. And that gave you a skeleton.
A built-in,
to build a good schedule around. You didn't have to worry about booking home games or you didn't have to worry about booking road games because those pre-existing events would take care of it for you. You didn't have to worry about home and homes because you always had somebody decent coming to your place and somebody decent that you were going to. It's a shame they can't get that back. It's a shame the TV networks can't, perhaps they do, I don't know. But it's a shame that's not a priority to get the five families together here from ESPN and Fox and say, hey, this was pretty cool. And when these games are played, one of us is getting half of them every year because the home team's conference gets the TV rights. So Fox would be getting half those games and ESPN would be getting the other half of those games. So it would be mutually beneficial to those outfits. And it's a shame they can't come together and do that if they're not working on it. They might be. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
I think ESPN has bigger fish to fry right now.
Yeah, they do. And got some going to be a lot of Purdue fans scrambling on Thursday night if they have YouTube TV to make sure that they can watch that game, or finding a friend with something else if that doesn't get decided by then, which I'm not sure that it's going to. There are other options out there to get ESPN2, which is who's carrying this game as well. And I think at that part, but it will be interesting to watch even on when people discover that. Most people on our message boards have discovered that and have talked about it at length. But we'll see what happens from that. All right, next week in the Bahama trip, and we will. I know we're looking ahead. It's hard to do that after you play Alabama, but talk about that field and just the fact that you've got two, could be, well, almost guaranteed two pretty grinding games, Memphis and potentially Texas Tech, I believe, if I remember the schedule right. Really going to be two big tests as well.
Yeah, it's Memphis, then either Texas Tech or Wake Forest.
Right.
I think we can assume Texas Tech will be the heavy favorite in that game, and the Miles Colvin Bowl will not occur. So yeah, I mean,
Purdue's got to beat Memphis. Yes,
Purdue's got to beat Memphis. Yeah, Memphis. I haven't tracked them thus far. It's I don't really pay that close attention at the very beginning of the season. But I think Memphis had a very chaotic offseason, as Memphis often does. But they're going to have grown men like they always do, and they'll be tough, presumably. Purdue should win that game. And then Texas Tech would be assuming Texas Tech gets by Wake, which might be a big assumption. Again, I've only followed Wake from a very superficial capacity, but I would think Purdue and Texas Tech would meet, and that would be a really fun game. An elite offensive program against an elite defensive program would really be an unbelievable test for Purdue. And Grant McCaslin's an unbelievable coach, and would be a great resume game. Excuse me, would be a great resume game for whoever gets it.
Yeah,
will help both resumes just for having played it.
And a chance to watch Texas Tech tonight. In fact, started
Illinois, right?
Right, Illinois started right about now, and in Champaign, be a good chance to get a quick look at them. Memphis not receiving votes yet, and obviously neither is Wake, but it'll be interesting. That's good. We know what Texas Tech can bring to the table and has brought to the table, especially defensively from that standpoint. All right, Brian, we're going to let you go, and we appreciate everybody for jumping on tonight. Good group, and we will have these basketball events throughout the course of the season, probably not every week, but acrepro.com is nice enough to sponsor this, and we appreciate them as well, and we'll look forward to that. Brian, safe travels. You're going to leave tomorrow. You're going to talk to the coach and et cetera, and then head out late tomorrow afternoon.
Yes, I'm being very stupid. In my advanced age, in my withered state.
How far are you going to try to get tomorrow?
Gardendale. I'm going all over Birmingham. 7.5 hours. So if I get out of here at 2:00 after immediate availability, maybe I can get to Gardendale by 11. Stop at Buc-ee's, get a brisket sandwich to eat in the car.
Yeah.
Don't
eat and drive.
2 gas stops.
Yeah.
And straight to Gardendale, Alabama.
All right, there you go. And then you can get
there.
Then, well, you go down to Tuscaloosa. You've been on the campus before.
I've been to Tuscaloosa. I've been to Birmingham many times. Great city.
And you were there in 2009. Obviously.
I was there last year.
Yeah.
You talking about Birmingham or
no? It's Tuscaloosa, right?
Yeah,
that was the only trip to Tuscaloosa was in 2009.
I was in Tuscaloosa in 2009. I've been to Hoover a bunch of times for Adidas AAU events. I went to the Auburn game in Birmingham last year. Yeah. My very first NCAA tournament game was in Birmingham when they beat LSU and then lost to Texas under one Gene Cady.
And one Melvin Buckley.
That's
21
right.
points, right? Or 20
That
points.
Is a deep cut, yeah.
That is a very deep cut. Then they lost to Texas, is that right?
Texas.
Yeah.
And TJ Ford
and they were in that
Brandon
game.
Bouton and
yeah.
They were in that game, yes. They were competitive in that game. It was one of those deals where they were never winning that game.
Yeah.
They were in the game. I was sitting there watching Butler beat Louisville right behind Butler's bench, and one of Butler's players, who are the two brothers? Oh, one of the Cornette brothers.
Yeah. Jordan
jumped over his bench and crashed into their water cooler and splashed me with blue sport drink. Yeah, it was.
That was Gene Cady's last NCAA tournament game. That's all, right? Yep. And his swan song, the Purdue lost to Texas. Some good guys on that team with Brandon McKnight, as I recall, and some other guys that with really great people. And that was the highlight of their career, as it turned out for Brandon in terms of wins and losses. So he certainly played a lot in the last couple of years under Coach Gene Cady as well. So, all right, Brian, thanks again. Enjoy the night and safe travels. We'll look forward to your work come not only tomorrow, but obviously on Thursday as Purdue takes on Alabama. Again, thanks to all of you for watching and listening. I'm going to let Brian go and do a little bit of work on the back end to say thanks again for all of you for taking the time to join us. A reminder that you can subscribe, you can leave us a positive review. We will download this as well. If you missed part of this, put it up not only on YouTube, but also on a podcast format as well. And a novel idea would be to become it's getting near the holidays, a good time to become a member of goldenblack.com. You can use PU1 as the code, get 2 months for $1 to get you started. It is the biggest audience of Purdue sports fans on the internet, and you can get all of Brian's work, all of Tom Dienhart and Dub Jellison's work, Mike Carmen, everything that we try to bring to the table. We actually still do write stories, and we're proud of them. We talk about them a lot too, and Brian does a great job too, as does Tom and Dub. But we really, really love to have those members kibitz on Knucklehead Central. So have a great rest of your Tuesday night, and stay tuned. We're probably going to have a show Thanksgiving week, but if not, we will have a couple shows throughout the course of basketball season 2 with Brian when that schedule opens, because there's a lot to talk about. So have a great evening all, and we'll look forward to, again, another night. And thanks again also to acrepro.com. A reminder, too, about Kyle Spray and Company. You can call 765-775-6502, and you can have a chance to not only get your 1031 exchanged handled, but you can talk to Kyle Spray and Company. They're a great group, and we appreciate them very much. So have a great rest of your Tuesday evening, and we'll talk to you next time on acrepro.com Tuesday night or Wednesday night live.
As you all know by now, Golden Black Radio has also teamed up with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for our listeners each week. When you join BetMGM, you get access to a variety of parlay selection features like same-game parlays, live betting options, and more. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code ON3, and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet. Offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code ON3. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code ON3 when you sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and over only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that can expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code ON3 and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.